Hello guys, welcome back. In the previous part, we learned about the blade templates, how to make our project cleaner using layouts, includes loops and conditions. Now, in this part, we will add a very important feature, validation. Before that, let's try to submit the form without typing anything and without any validation. So this is the add a student form, and when I click save without typing any field, what happens instead of a user friendly message, Laravel shows us this big red internal server error. If you look closely, it says SQL state and integrity constraint violation, and column cannot be null. This is happening because the database is rejecting the empty value. The columns in the my student table does not allow null values. So when Laravel tries to insert an empty form, the database throws an error. But this is a very bad user experience. A normal user will never understand this technical error. So we need a way to catch these mistakes before sending data to the database. That's where validation comes in. What is validation? Validation means checking if the data entered by the user is correct before saving it in the database. Syntax is request, validate, field name and the rules. Request validate tells the Laravel to check the data before saving. Field name is which input field to validate, like name, phone, email, etc. Rules are the condition the input must follow, like required, email, numeric, etc. In Laravel, validation is super easy. Here, request represents the incoming HTTP request. It contains all the form data the user submitted, and the validate method checks this data against the rules we define. There are some rules which we are going to use in our project. So these are the rules and these are its meanings. Like required means the field cannot be empty. Email means the value must be a valid email address. String means it must be a text, and max 100 means maximum characters allowed. So 100 means maximum the field should have 100 characters. Unique student's email. No duplicate emails in the students table. It stops same email twice. Rule numeric means only numbers allowed. Digits 10 means it must be exactly 10 digits. And now let's see an example. Here I am typing some name and I am giving an email. Class something, and phone number. What I am doing is I am giving 1234, and when I click save, here you can see form got submitted and new entry added in our database. But here you notice that phone number having only 4 digits, but actually it will have 10 digits in phone number. So we can give or define our rules so that exactly phone number should have 10 digits. Let's see practically with an example. So where do we write validation? In Laravel, validations is usually written inside the controller methods where we handle form submissions. In our project, student controller is our controller, and inside that there are two methods where we are handling form submissions. So store method handles add student form, and update method handles the form for editing student. So we have seen the syntax. Now what I will do is I will type request validate, and I will define the rules for my fields inside validate. For example, Name should not be empty and it must be text, and it should handle only maximum 100 characters. For email, it should not be empty and it should have valid email and it should be unique. Same for class, it should not be empty, it should be text, and it should allow only 50 characters to enter. For phone, it should not be empty and it should have minimum, it should have 10 digits and numeric. Let's save this form and go to the browser, click on add student. Now what I will do is I will enter some values and in phone number I am giving only 4 digits. Let's see what it will give us. Click on save. What actually happened here is we submitted the form with phone number containing only 4 digits, but we defined in our validation phone should be 10 digits numeric. But here you can see form got form just submits, but we didn't see any error messages as well as all the values got reset. That's not a good user experience. Users won't know, users won't even know what went wrong. So we need a way to show proper messages to the user. We don't have any data also, right? Which we submitted because validation fails. If validation fails, Laravel automatically does two things for us. It redirects the user back to the form along with error messages. But how do we actually show those error messages to the user? For that, Laravel gives us a special variable called errors. The errors are stored in a special object called an error bag. Now let's fix our forms to show validation errors. Now we need to update our forms. So our add student form is in the create.blade.php. Here we need to write a code to show the validation errors. So for that, what I will use is I will use if condition to check if there are any errors. And if they have any errors, I will print those errors in the list one by one. I am defining a div and its color I am giving red. Inside div, I am creating one unordered list, and inside unordered list, I am using for each loop to loop all the errors array. and I am printing all the errors in the list. And I will end for each loop, and after if I will end if. And I have used any method which checks if there are any validation errors. I am using here errors all method to get all error messages in an array. So errors is automatically filled by Laravel's validation system. We don't need to manually pass it from the controller. Save this file and go to the browser, click refresh and click on add student. Now fill the form values. Now here I have typed only 4 digits in the phone number. Click on save. Here you will see error message. The phone field must be 10 digits. But have you noticed here, if validation fails, all our field values is getting reset. But I want the values which we entered should be there if validation fails. For that, we will use a helper method old, which will keep the old values. So what I will do is inside our form here, this is our form fields, and here I will use value, and in value I will use old I will use old helper method, and inside old helper method I will write a field name. I will do this same for the all fields and change the field names. Save this and go to the browser, go back, click on refresh, then add a student, fill the file, fill the form, here again I am giving only 4 digits in the phone. Clicking on save, you will see validation error. The phone field must be 10 digits. And here you can see if the validation failed, the values is still there in the form. It did not get reset. So what actually happened is old name keeps what the user typed before the validation fails. So this is what a validation. Let's go and do the same for update. So this is store. I will copy the validation rules from store method and I will paste it in the update method. So but first we need to find the student using the ID of the student. After that we need to define our validation rules. But here it's a small difference, that is I will add dot student ID in the email. This means the email must be unique except for the students we are editing. Save this file And coming to the errors, I will copy this error code and I will paste in the edit.blade.php. So this is for the showing validation error messages, and for storing the old values, we need to add old helper method. So what I will do is, inside the value, I will add old helper method with the name, with the field names. So here, what it is doing is old name, student name. For edit form, it shows old input if validation fails. Otherwise, shows the existing student data. Save this file. Now come to the browser. Go to the, now what I will do is I will add 10 digits in the phone number and click on save to add a student. And here you can see a student got added in our database. Now I will click on edit. Here you can see we are getting the existing values of the student. Now I will remove some digits and click on update. So here you will see error message, the phone field must be 10 digits, and you can see the values we entered just now. So this we are getting when we are using the old helper method. Let's say what I will do is I will remove first and click on update. Now you can see the phone field must be 10 digits, and you can see that the name field having the value which we added just now before the validation failed. Now I will add the 10 digits and click on update. You can see it got updated in the database. So this is all about validation. In this part, we learned what validations is and why it's needed. We added validation rules in store and update methods. We saw error messages inside our forms, and you might have noticed we did not yet show success messages after saving. That's because those messages are stored in something called a session. And I don't want to confuse you now. In the next part, we will explore flash messages. We will see how to show student added successfully message when we add a student in a nice way, and also understand about sessions. If you found this video is helpful for you, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any doubts, please write it in the comments. Thanks for watching.